Hi, my name's Rebecca Roberts and I am the Pioneer Team Vicar in Birchwood and Woolston, which is in East Warrington. A reflection on Psalm 72. Psalm 72 comes at the end of David's life. His son Solomon is about to become king, and we can therefore read the beginning of this psalm as a call to pray. A call to pray for our leaders and for our children. However, the writer of this psalm goes deeper, far deeper than a simple call to prayer. This psalm is a call to a way of life, a call to a shape of life. I wonder if when you were a child you had a shape sorter toy. The one that I remember, or the type I remember, was a kind of a yellow cylinder with holes in the top. On its own, a shape sorter on its own would be a toy that provides a few moments of entertainment, exploring the different shapes with our hands. But it's the coloured shapes that actually make the toy what it is, that actually give the entertainment, give the substance to the shape sorter. Without these things to fill the holes, it actually would be a pretty boring thing for a child to play with. But like many a young child, I would in my learning try and push the wrong shape through the wrong hole, perhaps putting the cross through the square, trying to fit it somewhere where it didn't fit. And it's only by exploring that we realise where things fit, that the circle really isn't going to go into the triangle. It's only as we explore we see how things have their shape, have their purpose. Now, when I didn't have the shapes to put in the shape sorter, it didn't make it a bad toy, but it made it frustrating. And it was even, I guess, frustrating not knowing where to put each of the shapes. It's frustrating in trying to push the wrong shape through the wrong hole. But the true satisfaction and accomplishment with the shape sorter comes from pushing the right shape in the right hole. In these past few months, a lot has changed, and it continues to change. By the time this reflection goes live, things will be different again from how they are now. Some things that have changed are not new. They are simply holes becoming more visible. For instance, poverty has existed since as long as there has been inequality. Injustice has been there since as long as there has been power. However, when we face a global crisis, the polarisation becomes clearer, becomes far more vivid for us to see. Through my own interactions, through my own ministry, I've seen a marked increase in poverty and all of its hallmarks. In hunger, fear, isolation, family stress, deterioration of health. The holes have become deeper and more visible. There's a temptation to fill these holes with anything that we can find. But the psalmist calls for a specific type of response to poverty, to injustice. He calls for a response unlike the shape sorter that where only specific shapes fit in specific holes. He calls for a response that will fill every hole and fill them not just on the surface but far beyond, far deeper. This is, of course, a Jesus-shaped response. For whilst the psalmist begins by talking about the coming reign of Solomon, the son of the king, he spends most of the psalm pointing to the reign of the coming Messiah, a reign that will be hallmarked by justice and mercy. Our government has been subject to many a compliment and many a criticism in its response to COVID-19. There have perhaps been many different motivations for why it's taken the actions it has to fill the holes it has. The Church also is not immune from compliments and criticism. And of course, we ourselves. We've all responded in different ways to the situation before us. But Psalm 72 reminds us that the Messiah's reign is for all and is a kingship that fits every hole perfectly. It fills every hole and situation with justice and mercy. It's a call to live a Jesus-shaped life. A life that responds to situations in a way that Jesus would have done. It's a call to a kingdom life that sees the holes filled not just practically, but filled with the values and the love of Jesus. It is when we and our leaders, our national leaders, our local leaders, our church leaders, it's when we and our leaders live and exercise a kingdom-shaped life that God's kingdom grows and signs of health can be seen. So let us then, through Psalm 72, be challenged and encouraged not only in our actions to fill those holes, to meet the needs of others, but let us be challenged too to pray for our leaders and to pray for each other as God's children, that we might live a Jesus life, a kingdom-shaped life, as we respond to the needs of our neighbours and as we look beyond the situations that we now face to what a post-lockdown, a post-COVID world might become. A world in which we praise his name forever and is filled with his glory. Amen.